All right. So I'm gonna do a surprise live for everybody. I got a lot of back and forth in the comments in regards to the Erika Patterson, Darrell Brooks issue. So I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes, let some people come on. You know what I'm saying? Because I did not announce that I was coming on live. So, but I do want to get the community involved. So hopefully this gets out. I just set it up and was like, fuck it. So here we go. So as far as everybody, welcome to the Norman Nick Show. I am Norman. Now, today we are going to discuss some of the flack back and forth about Erika Patterson. And the topic I kind of want to discuss on is why she has not went back to Georgia after a year plus after the trial. So I did make a little video in regards to, the discussion, but I do, before we get started, I do want to bring one of my best friends, in full disclosure, onto the platform. This is my man Santo, from the Rebellion 5. His podcast is slamming. But with that being said,
What's
what
up,
up,
brother?
Santo?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
You already know, man. So we're on two different platforms, but we both are online doing our thing as far as podcasting and whatnot. You want to let the audience know about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, Big Santo, aka Big Psyche K, the Rebellion 5 podcast member. We discuss a lot of anime related content, comic book related content, pop culture, MCU, Star Wars, what if, just all of your nerd blurred genre. So come tap in with us.
That's what's up. And I've been on the show a couple of times, giving my expertise on the Star Wars fandom. So I wanted to return the favor and bring my man on here, because he does have a background in music. And as we know, Darrell Brooks has a small fan base, or had a small fan base before he's locked up, but nobody really knew who he was until the trial. And that's when he be like his music became known or whatever. And so there's been a lot of people out there that's been dissecting the music after we brought it out, because I don't want to be braggadocious, but I kind of like, was one of the first ones to like not worry about copyright. And I just threw all of his stuff on there for YouTube for everybody to decipher. So I took a year off because of what happened with Erika, and, and our little falling out or whatever. And the fallout didn't really have nothing to do with me and Erika. It had more to do with, her company that she was keeping that took her away from the facility, basically didn't want to let her to go get help. So I didn't want my show to be, housewives of Wickeshaw, or baby mamas of Wickeshaw, type show, you know what I mean, where it's just a drama fest of them trying to get help and them fighting or whatever. So I took a time out and I stepped back and I dealt with my own issues, and now I'm ready to come back. So with that being said, the question is, after watching everything and looking at the content, because I know you see my stuff, my question to you, Santo, is why don't you think Erika went back to Atlanta after the trial?
Well, I feel like she needs to be in her safe space, right? So getting out of her comfort zone might put a target on her back, especially from what I've seen on the content and the speculations that's going on with her. I'm assuming she's just trying to stay where it's safe, you know?
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, but where she's at in Wickeshaw, there's like no opportunities for her to get her children and for her to get away from the toxicity. So when you say safe, do you mean safe like in her comfort zone safe, or safe as in her physical safety where she has nowhere else, where she can't go nowhere else?
Well, both, right? Because when you're in like the neighborhoods, they call them the trap for a reason. So most people don't believe in themselves enough to believe that they can make it out of that trap. So even though there's less opportunities, people feel more comfortable in those zones because that's where they are, and they don't have to worry about conforming to the world. So yeah, I say safe in that regard. Now, in regard to like physicality. I don't think nobody's head hunting for her. Nobody's gonna go beat her upside the head. So I think she'll be physically safe wherever she is. But like as far as her emotional state, I don't think she wants to introduce herself back into the chaos. You know.
Yeah, I don't blame. Yeah, well, and I wouldn't blame her. My whole thing is that if you were getting negativity, trying and not to sound like I'm trying to be braggadocious, but she wanted to be put on to the podcast game. She wanted to be put onto the content creator game. Her and Corey both, and we kind of talked about it, offline, and that's kind of why we talked about it online, on camera about her coming onto the Norman Nick show and me trying to help her out with her recovery or whatever else. But as far as like follow through, what had happened in the drama was Corey didn't want to let her go. Corey felt like she was going to be by herself because she knew in order for Erika to recover, she had to get away from the toxicity, which meant get away from, Corey and Darrell and everybody else that was in her circle that was helping her get, intoxicated. So, and not able to get a job and not able to get an ID and, basically enabling her, you know what I mean? And then when I came in, I kind of came in with my heart in the right place, but they were not ready for it. So when I set up everything and gave everybody access to her Cash App and was like, yo, help this girl out, people, bleeding hearts came out the woodworks and gave her all kinds of help. But it was kind of like the gift that was the curse. You know what I mean? So I think it kind of made her fall back into what she went into, and and Corey got into it, and the
Well,
the main thing that happened was Corey was going online on Reddit and all this other stuff, trying to say that I was trying to sleep with them, and some old crazy ass drunken Karen shit. You know what I mean? And so I was like, whoa. I said, I'm not even trying to. That's why I had to take the Cash App crap off because
yeah.
Erica went onto her, onto her little thing and was like, yeah, Norman's tripping, and I was like, why all of a sudden am I tripping? You the one who called me talking about you got the busted lip and eye. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Well, I mean, let's keep it funky. Like, if they wanted to be content creators, they had the perfect opportunity to be content creators with all the press and attention regarding the case. It doesn't matter what she was talking about or who she was talking about it with. She had eyes on her. So if she wanted to be a content creator, she could have. So I don't like enabling. I'm not a big fan of using enabling as an excuse for grown people, because like you're grown, you know what you got to do. So it doesn't matter who you have with you or who you have around you. If you know what you got to do and you allow yourself to say in those situations, then you're dumb as a box of bricks, you know. So if she did want to monetize the situation and become a content creator, even if she was beefing with Corey, they could have did that. You know, they could have did that. Negativity brings more views than positivity.
facts. And and what's crazy is that because I wasn't trying to be that catalyst. I didn't want to be that, that part of I wanted to report the story, you know what I'm saying, and help behind the scenes. I didn't want to become part of the story also. And then my whole identity, you know what I mean, when people think of the Norman Nick show was, oh, Darrell Brooks, you know what I'm saying? Because I did other, I covered other stories before and after and since. But you know what I mean? I felt like I had to come back because once I got past all the baby mama drama of my own and beat her in court and my stuff, I went back a year later and like revamped and looked to see where everybody was at, you know what I mean, and kind of catch up on everything because I took a sabbatical. I literally stepped back, and so when I came back, I was seeing all these videos that Corey did, and then I seen all these videos that Erika was doing like once a month, and I was like, why are you still in Wickenshaw if your kids are in Atlanta and you keep talking about your kids and you keep doing the same rhythmic apologies in all your videos talking about, I'm sorry, I haven't, reached out to you in the comments. I'm sorry. As a content creator, just if you are watching Erika, Corey, or anybody who's doing content creation, your audience is probably the most important part of your being. It's like being and not to sound ordained, but it's like being a god and having followers. If you don't have followers, you're not a god. So if you're a content creator and you have nobody watching your shit, you're not a content creator. You know what I mean? You may have people tapping in to see what the drama is, but you're not there every day trying to produce, or once a week or whatever, trying to produce content. So
Yeah, that reminds me of a story about Carnage from Spider-Man when he wanted to actually become a god. He had to kill gods in order to do it because he didn't have a cult following, and they were saying you can't be a god if no one follows you. So yeah, that makes sense.
and that's the whole thing. It's like, and if you think about it, it's like that's the way the world is. I mean, in the entertainment, there's always a bigger fish, and the little fish are always trying to get what they can from the scraps of the bigger fish until they become the big fish,
Right,
and then they leave scraps for other fish. You know what I mean? So it's a generational thing because nobody can remain on top forever. So everybody comes and goes. So you're just trying to get your while you're alive, you're just trying to get your piece of the pie.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So there's no, and for those bleeding hearts that are like, oh, it was too soon for you to show video footage, and I unsubscribed because of blah blah blah. I unsubscribed because of Me Too. I understand the audience is important, but there comes a point where is your channel ran by bleeding hearts, or is your channel ran because of what you're good at and what you're trying to do? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
People are always gonna respect the realists. Like even in our channel, shout out to the guys. There's people that don't agree with a lot of opinions that we have and a lot of the hot takes that we have, and there's people who talk shit, but as long as you're contributing to the community, like we can have that dialogue. If you're going to talk some shit, I'll talk some shit with you, and we can have that dialogue as long as it's productive. So I don't feel like that is a negative thing about having a online community, because everybody has fucking opinions, and I don't want everybody to agree with me. If you are always agreeing with me, I don't want to kick it with you because you're not challenging me mentally, because you're always agreeing with me. So I think that's a good thing about the community. But as far as people dropping off or jumping ship because they don't like a opinion that you had or something that you said, it's better off that way. Get the fuck out of here. Because if you're that easily moved, especially with your type of content, then you're not even built to view this shit, let alone be a content creator.
And it's the Norman Nick show. It isn't Fox News. It isn't CNN News.
Right.
So, and I'm talking about not only for those, you know, those sensitive ones for Me Too, but also those political heads that are just like, oh, you don't support Trump, you must support Biden, and it's like and it's like, whoa. If that's all that it takes for you to unsubscribe is thinking that I like somebody because I don't support your guy or what you said about in a comment, then that puts you in the same boat. If you're interested in the content, please stay. I mean, if
Right.
you're interested in supporting the channel and what I do, please stay. But if you're going to take the time to get triggered and then leave a comment, you're only helping the algorithm. And then when you bounce, everybody's just going to see what you put on there.
Right. Right.
I mean, you're helping either way. And what I love doing is when I love when they're like, "Oh, I've been watching you for a while, Cap. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe you said this. I'm unsubbing." And every time it's like, all right, Elvis has left the building. You know what I'm saying? They got to announce themselves. You know what I'm saying? That they were butthurt. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I deal with it. As far as the trolls. So I get a lot of people that look at because I got a lot of looky loos. They go in
Yeah.
there, watch the videos, they look at my comments like, whoa, but they won't sub or whatever. And it's like, yo, you could sub. I take constructive criticism. What I don't take is people trolling. And what people don't see is like you may see one comment where I went off on somebody, but you don't know that they were all over the map, all over my videos, and you're just seeing the 11th comment that I got fed up with. You know what I mean? So what I mean, everybody has their days. But with that being said, man, I did make this little video in spite of what was going on that I was going to premiere, and I just wanted to get your take on it and see if it's appropriate as far as why she didn't want to leave Georgia, and as far as the timeline. Basically, what I did is I took Darrell Brooks's whole shit and I took just what happened in Georgia, because that seems to be the gray area about what happened in Georgia when he was with Erika, before, because Erika apparently flew him out there, or got him out there. He got out there, was whipping her ass, and then right before they went back to Wisconsin together, back to Wickenshaw, it was like within 6 months. So he gets out there whips her ass in a hotel, apparently does time in the jail, and then within 6 months convinces her after he gets out of jail to come with him to Waukesha, whatever however you pronounce it, Wisconsin, for better opportunities to meet his mom and all this other shit. But check this out. I'm gonna get your opinion.
Stack like what's the business? I'ma pull up on you like what's the business? She gon' give it to the kid like what's the business?
The man accused of driving through a Christmas parade in Wisconsin, killing at least 6 people, on November 21st, 2021, was arrested in Georgia earlier that year.
But I am going to call you and stuff. I didn't forget. I literally just woke back up. I'm sorry.
Darrell Brooks Jr. was arrested in Union City, Georgia on May 27, 2021, at the Country Hearth Inn on Shannon Parkway after he and Erika Patterson, his girlfriend, called police on another guest at the hotel.
Hi, everyone, and good morning. I just want to say you guys are all wonderful. Thank you for your support and encouragement.
Welcome to the party. It wouldn't be a party without you.
According to a police report from the Union City Police Department, Brooks called police saying a man flashed a firearm while they were having an argument early that morning. A witness allegedly overheard Brooks pummeled the 30-year-old victim through the motel wall at about 1 a.m. and confronted him. Cops responded and determined that Brooks had struck his girlfriend, who had bruising and redness around her eyes, and arrested him for misdemeanor battery.
And sorry I'm not responding back to any comments or anything. It's a lot, you guys. But I just really want to say, don't believe stuff on the internet. There's a couple of YouTubers and their little subscribers or whatever making negative comments about me and my friend Corey. Do not believe that.
Police records show the disposition of the case wasn't immediately clear, but Brooks wound up in handcuffs after police learned the initial argument started after the man confronted Brooks when he said he heard Brooks hitting his girlfriend repeatedly.
What's the business, gang, gang?
In Georgia, Your Honor, the record reflects a May 27, 2021 arrest for misdemeanor battery with a designation of family violence. While it is not clear if he was convicted, he did recently remark to a court official in this county that he had served a 6-month jail sentence in Georgia. So we have not been able to verify if that was a conviction, but certainly there was a confinement in conjunction with that arrest.
I'm swollen in this shit, look at my pico. Hey, drugs, guns, murder, that's all we know.
In the report, the responding officer wrote he observed Brooks' girlfriend's face was swollen and had dark discoloration around her eyes. The girlfriend told officers Brooks hit her earlier that day.
People are saying we're scammers and stuff like that. I would never do that. You guys should know me throughout this trial and everything else. Even if you don't physically know us or whatever, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing videos, reviews, or sympathy, anything. But people are bashing me and Miss Corey. I will put her link in the comments.
He was taken to the East Point jail and charged with a domestic violence battery charge. Brooks's criminal history includes other instances of domestic violence. In Wisconsin, he was accused of punching and running over Erika Patterson, who told police she was the mother of his child. According to documents, police noticed dried blood on her face, a swollen lip, and tire tracks on her left pants leg. Brooks also had an outstanding failure to appear warrant in Nevada from 2016, where he was scheduled to answer a charge that he failed to notify authorities about a move, as he was required to do because he was on the state sex offender registry, police in the city of Sparks said.
Step it up, son, you talking to a boss man. Flexing out around these bitches, tell them stand down. Errol Spence, that's a man down.
Brooks was convicted in 2006 of felony statutory sexual seduction for impregnating a 15-year-old Erika Patterson, police said. Those are just a few of the long list of Brooks' charges related to violence across several states.
They're bashing. They got people thinking negative stuff. None of this is true. You guys, no, we're not scammers. We're not doing this for views, any of this stuff. I'm trying to do videos every day for you guys. It's been a lot of stress, but I'm going to try to keep you guys updated. Like I said, I love you guys. And if you guys have questions, just ask us directly because people in the comments and stuff. It's just don't believe everything you say or everything you hear. There's a lot of negative things. Thank you.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Money calling on the line, I couldn't budge still. 420s, I just counted off a drug deal. What's the business, gang, gang?
Yeah. So as far as content creator, man, you know how we do.
Right.
So that's how I was feeling about that, at that time, you know what I'm saying, at the moment. Um, but yeah, as far as like all the drama, I feel like Erica had enough opportunity and enough people. Not enough. I don't want to say enough because everybody's built different. You know what I mean? But as far as like, there comes a limit of, just like there's a limit of festivity before somebody loses it. There's a limit that somebody has of charity before somebody's like, yo, you know what I mean? I've showed you where the water is. You know what I'm saying? I've showed you how to get your ID. I've showed you how to get away from drama. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of stuff. And how many chances violence? How many chances do you give somebody as far as I can't do it? I can't do it for me. Do it for me. You know what I mean? Type vibe. You know what I mean? When does the victim become the problem?
I feel like just like George Bush was trying to say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not gonna continue. Like, I have a good heart, bro. I'll help you out. You know what I'm saying? I'll even help you out more than once. But if I notice that it's a trend and you're not trying to help yourself, then that's when the help stops. It's a difference between helping somebody and enabling somebody. Just like I said, I don't agree with enablers. So in regards to that, you can show them. All you can do is show them where the lake is, bro. Nothing. The rest of it's not your fault. Show them where the lake is. Put a couple dollars in their pocket. Safe journeys, bro. We're all grown and we all know what life has for us.
Facts. As far as Olivia had a question. She says, am I missing something because she doesn't want to be internet famous? I just tuned in. Olivia, she has her own YouTube page and she does these promises to tap in, but she misses the deadline. And so she ends up only doing it like maybe once a month or whatever. And it's always the same thing where she's going to update us about Darrell Brooks and, that. But the point is, she never leaves Wisconsin and her updates. She's always staying in the same spot, making promises. And for me, as a content creator who's next to, and anybody who is really in tune to what's going on as far as in my circle, you know what I mean, who's paying attention and whatnot. If you listen to the videos, she tells on herself because she's not a content creator, she's a vlogger, and there's a difference. And when you vlog, you're doing it live, you don't edit what's going on. So you can hear the background, you could see her eye movements and hear her give away her signs. Like she says she has a boyfriend. Corey on her podcast or her whatever she did, not podcast, on her channel or whatever she tried to do, she admitted that Erika had a boyfriend all this time, but has been jumping from house to house, couch to couch. So obviously she didn't know what was good, but as far as their relationships, they're no longer friends anymore, and she was kind of speculating on the later videos. But as far as her trying to be internet famous, that was what she talked to me about, not being necessarily being famous, but she wanted to get her word out of what happened. And if it turned into something where she was an advocate for domestic violence and could show other people to do similar to what I do for father advocacy, because I'm a single parent of 3, and I have a second channel for fathers' rights education under the Norm Nick Show, where I actually advocate for fathers and parents who are not untoxic to get their kids when the courts are against them. I kind of show them how to do it without an attorney. So she wanted to be part of that branch of the Norman Nick show as far as helping out people. And if you look at the older videos of us podcasting together, she did say that, I believe, in one of our lives. I'm starting to get comments in here. So we got Erika, Cosmic Wizard said, Erika has not provided any depth or insight to anything because she does not have the mental capacity due to all the trauma to even process what she has been through.
I can agree with that statement.
I could definitely agree with that statement too. That's one way to look at it. And then he said, I would like to learn about Darrell and hers upbringing and how they became a thing. Now, I did videos about this Cosmic Wizard as far as like the upbringing. She met Darrell in Sparks, and she says that on the podcast. Darrell lied and said that he met her in Sacramento, California, and was pimping her. I did the investigation, and I showed the receipts as far as the website that shows the law information, and also shows the articles in the newspaper where both of their attorneys were trying to become political figures, and they were trying to do a smear campaign on each other. And Erika's attorney, who was already in line for the DA, who was like an assistant DA at the time, I believe, started talking shit about Darrell's attorney, calling Erika a slut because they wanted to run each other out of the race for the DA office. So a news reporter sat down with Darrell's attorney and asked him what was happening and got the back and forth and broke down the skinny. And I break it down in the video. But in a nutshell, Erika had a friend, and she was doing online, solicitation on MySpace and Craigslist and all these other things. And Darrell wasn't the only one that she snagged in a net, according to the news article in the attorney's mouth. Apparently, an hour before they met up with Darrell, her and her friend had just got done having a threesome with another John, and then Darrell got to him. So Darrell and the guy that they know about that was spoke about in the article happened to be one of Darrell Brooks's attorney's other clients that was dealing with the same case. So when he dealt with Darrell's case after the fact and then found out more information, he was pissed off at the DA because the DA did not disclose about Erika's solicitations online, about Sparks PD knowing about it, and he spilled it all in the article, and it was buried in the back of the internet, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody spoke about it, but I found it. And when I found it and brought it to light, it was after we found out that Erika was not willing to get help or take help. She was acting like she wanted to get help, but all she wanted to do was get the cash app, to get the help with the cash app. She didn't want to try to get help getting IDs. She didn't want to get help with sobriety. She didn't want to get help getting to Georgia to get her kids. She didn't even want to help I had her set up to go to Texas with a lady named Rose, a counselor named Rose. I had her set up to get out of Texas, so she didn't even have to go back to Atlanta or stay in Wichita. She could have went to Texas, a completely new environment in a facility, and stayed there for as long as needed. And it was fully funded up to a year, as far as a grant that we had set up for her. And it was good for up to that year to take advantage of, but it's expired now. So she's had all this time to reach out. So that's why I stepped back and didn't say nothing, didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? Giving her a chance. She can't say, well, Norman, just like she says, well, Darrell did this up until well, Darrell ain't here, sweetie. So why are we still in Wichita, and why are we getting our kids if we still cash app any money, or people still, trying to wish you well? You know what I mean? Why aren't you this has been a year, you know what I mean? And I understand trauma, but your kids are growing up without you. Like you said, you're 19-year-old now, with the babies now, you're a grandmother of a 2-year-old now. So let's get there's a lot to be said, but I think the reason why I need to come out here and say something is because a lot of people were giving me flack, and talking shit about taking down my platform and my channel, for not, and saying I was trying to pimp Erika. And first of all, I never set up a GoFundMe. I talked about it, but I never set up a GoFundMe. So I never took any money whatsoever. And whatever I made on AdSense was a drop in the bucket compared to what you dipshits gave to Erika, including myself at the time. You know what I'm saying? As far as you talking shit about me flipping on Erika, nobody flipped on Erika. Erika flipped on herself, point blank. So for all them haters and and everybody else that were like, "Yo, Erika is a victim," I agree. Erika's a victim, but she's also 35 years old now.
Yeah, you can only play that victim card so long, man, before you actually start making moves or doing something about it. Especially if you have children. Like, if you have children and you want to be with your children, you have to make moves in order to, meet that goal. If not, you're just going to be in the same place, running into the same brick wall.
As life is good, 37 says, and she's still in the process of going to court. To tell you the truth, I think she was done with all that. I think all of that passed already. Somebody comment down if they know more than I do. Last I heard, they were for the domestic violence stuff, and I did a video on it, and I think it said something, "Can Darrell Brooks shut the fuck up?" And that was literally the thumbnail. You know what I mean? Can Darrell Brooks shut the fuck up, or he can shut the fuck up? And basically, he sat through the Zoom conference, and I think this time he had a public defender with him, and he said he was guilty to everything, and I think the judge gave him an extra 2 years on top of the 800 years that he got for the Wickenshaw parade incident. So I believe that's done. So we got Cosmic Wizard said, I was kind of side eyeing her when she said she didn't know her real name. His real name was Darrell until he ran over her leg. Yeah, so that was the other thing too that I pointed out in the video. That and it's also in his music stuff. If you go back, and I'll show it on the retake of this edit when I edit this up, because I do B-roll. If you go into his SoundCloud, it breaks down the years of when he posted the music on the SoundCloud from when he was trying to be a rapper. And you could actually see, if you compare everything, the timeline, the court dates, what Erika's talking about in the podcast, what Corey, all these people are talking about, and you start meshing them all together, you start seeing a pattern to where it was like Erika could not get it together in true victimhood as a 15-year-old. Whether Darrell was involved or not, Erika was going to go down that path, point blank. Erika was already had that solicitation in mind at 14, 15 years old, 13, 14, 15 years old, whatever it was, and she was doing it. The only thing that got Darrell caught up was he got her pregnant. That was the only thing that got Darrell caught up, because I'm sure there were other dipshits just like Darrell that were on the hook. But she wanted to party so much, and like it said in the news article, her and her girlfriend, who I have not been able to find out the name of, and Erika did not disclose, but her and the girlfriend, according to the attorney, said that they were fresh off a John from getting drunk and getting high off of weed before they even met up with Darrell Brooks, according to the court order. You know what I mean? As far as whatever incident they said on the court, on the court date. So as far as victimhood, you were fucking with Darrell for a while, and then you got pregnant. It's not like you got pregnant on jump. And then on top of that, you left him, and then in 2016, you brought him. You know what I'm saying? You got back together with him. No, not 2020. You got back together with him and flew him out to Atlanta after he started talking about, being a rapper and, posting all this TikTok shit, you know what I mean? And all this stuff, So, that's why I have a hard time with all this stuff. And as far as like what he said about not knowing his name, he demanded to be called Jay Brooks. She knew him as Jay. And like I said, when you mesh that information together with SoundCloud, 8, 9, 10 years ago, he was being called J Fly 21, J Fly 21. So she knew him as Jay Brooks.
Yeah, I
So
can believe that.
and she told on her. I got her MySpace. I showed her MySpace. How MySpace is down. No longer an app. Well, if you go into MySpace in public records through her public records, it shows that she had an account. And if you click on the link, it's a naked link, but it shows the skeleton of the link. And I show it in the video where it has her name, no photo, but it has her name. And how coincidental, Jay Brooks is one of 3 people in her friends list. You know what I mean? And how long ago was MySpace? I graduated high school in '97. I wasn't even fucking with MySpace. So Olivia says, I can believe that I can believe that Cosmic Wizard Darrell's a liar pathological. Correct. I would agree with that. All right, Danelle Mitchell, that was for the gun charge only. Oh, was it? Okay, so does anybody know about the domestic violence issue? Because like I said, I stepped away for a year, and I'm not knowing for sure. That's why I don't want to speak on that part. I'm only going to try to speak on what I really know. YouTuber user says she didn't go back because she has no support. She isn't they intelligent or that intelligent.
She isn't
She
that
thinks,
intelligent.
yeah, she thinks that you need to scam people to make money. She is for the streets. She has a kid with Darrell Brooks. Enough said. True that. Well, there's also two other women out there that have kids with Darrell too that that managed to stay out of the limelight and out of trouble. Well, baby mama number three, I found her and did a story on her, when the trial happened. And baby mama number three had some, some check fraud shit. I don't know. I was not able to determine if it was with or when she was with Darrell or not. But, for the most part, the other two are not trying to explain themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're letting people find out and let them, let people speculate, but they're not feeding the beast like, Corey and Erika are. She also, she isn't a victim. She scammed everyone. Sorry, she scammed you, bro. You tried to help her and she took advantage. That's her nature. Got you. I thank you for recognizing. He also said he's riding in prison, and I feel bad for his or her kids, but they aren't worth any more. They ain't worth any more of your time. You are doing good things, helping people. Forget her. I like you, Norman. You're a good dude. She doesn't worth your time, man. I appreciate you, my guy. And I said that to myself when I walked away from it a year ago. But like I said, I came back and I started seeing all, and it's not like I came back and I was like, yo, let me just do Darrell Brooks. I came back and I was doing other stuff. You could look at my stuff. I was doing other videos, podcasting with other content creators, I'm saying, trying to branch out. And then I keep getting this, people that reach out to me like, yo, you got to check this out. You got to check this. Somebody's saying this. Woo, woo, woo. So I go check out the Reddit and I'm like, I'm trying to sleep with who? Man, I stay single for a reason, and there ain't no way I'm gonna dive back in, especially into the deep end of toxicity. You know what I'm saying? If I really wanted something.
Like YouTube user said, she's not. I feel like you have to help someone mentally, right? She's not in a mental space in order to sit down and do content creation and also monetize it and do whatever the fuck else it is that she's trying to do. So not that she's a bad person, but she's not in a mental space to do so. So instead of trying to help her monetize her situation, motherfuckers need to be trying to help her get her mentality straight. Help her become a better person. Therefore, she can step out and do that shit herself. Because as long as she feels like the victim, she's going to play the victim card. And victims do what they got to do to survive. Whether that's scam, steal, kill, they're gonna do it all. Lie. That's why you can't really trust them. But if you help her get together mentally, which this isn't your fucking job because you've already done what you had to do. But if she gets help mentally, then she'd be able to step outside that box and do other things.
Facts. Well, as far as the attention, it's not really attention I'm trying to give her. It's kind of like I told her from day one, to consider me her big brother. You know what I'm saying? And no, and no homo or whatever, no weirdness. You know what I'm saying? I still care about the situation and where my intentions were. You know what I mean? Because I would do that for one of my friends or one of my relatives if they were in the same position, but if they were ready to drink the water. So with that being said, I did get kind of caught up in I think the nostalgia of, it was my first infamous celebrity, looking back, you know what I mean? And I got a piece of the story before anybody else. And and sleuthing and just so you know, for the record, Santo used to be a paralegal in the same field that I was in as far as, back in the day. And we worked for the same law firm, you know what I'm saying? I know we look like this, you know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, believe it or not, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to practicality of debt and living within your means, my man Santo is the man to talk to, you know what I'm saying? Because, as far as like financial awareness and whatnot, my man's got it covered. That's why he's branching out. But and I don't know if you're like me, you could probably got burnt out working for a fucking attorney that was, sharking people and paying us pennies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I get tired of the drizzle coins. When I can create my own tube and let the flow run freely. So it's not that I didn't like the field, because the field was fine and it looks great on the resume, but it prepared me for what I really wanted to do in life.
yeah. So sure did said she doesn't want help. She proved that. I'd have to agree. A YouTube user said, I just know women like her only want something for men, and I just don't want you to feel bad about her. No, I agree, and I appreciate the consent, my guy. Now, just for the record, I got 3 baby mamas, so you know what I'm saying. As far as like negativity, um, I dish it out as good as I take it also, you know what I'm saying? I'm a troll. I'm a troll's worst nightmare, as you can tell from my videos. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to toxic women, especially, you know what I'm saying? Because I've been accused of shit in family court multiple times, many a times, because they didn't have the mental capacity to meet me on the chessboard. So, the next route is the Me Too route. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let me put his face in the place of my ex-boyfriend who actually did do something, you know what I mean? So that stigma was put on me as the big black guy, you know what I mean? So it was an uphill battle working in court, even though I didn't have the same issues that other fathers such as Darrell Brooks had, in trying to get custody of their kids, if they're trying to get custody of their kids. So yeah, with that being said, I agree. um Glad I could make you laugh on that. So yeah, 3 baby mamas, man. I know how to dish it. So, and on my other channel, as far as like father's rights education, I show live, just so you guys know. If shout out to my other channel, Father's Rights Education, or the Norm Nick Show. I show you guys how to do it without an attorney through Chat GPT, just like I did. And I already got custody of her without an attorney, without Chat GPT. With Chat GPT, I whipped her out in a modification that she did not win, where she actually had to double up on her child support because she wasn't paying her due. So I show people what justice is like. So when I get on these shows, my outlook in the comments and even with the videos is kind of skewed, because I do have a single father, a single parent view on how I judge my videos and how I edit my content. So, just so you know, for those that are following or watch this, on the back end or whatever. So, but with that being said, Santo, you got anything you want to add to this, man? I kind of went off on this.
No, I just when the hate don't work, bro, they start telling lies. Uh, at the end of the day, I know you personally, and I know that's not your cup of tea. If someone told me like, yeah, I'd be like, nah, you're lying to me. You're gonna have to show me some proof. So I know that you're not really affected by the hate or the lies, but that's what they're gonna do, especially when you're playing the internet game like we're playing. Um, they're not gonna meet you face to face. They're not gonna see you. So when the hate don't work, they're gonna start telling lies. And any publicity is good publicity. Any click is gonna help the algorithm, all of that good stuff. So let them hate, bro, because you're winning. Period.
Facts. I'm still here, and it's funny because all them trolls and all them, man, I got so much hate, so much hate, but I did get a lot of love too. Don't get me wrong, but the hate was just so toxic to where people were like fuck you, let's look at your background. And I was like, please look at my background. You know me, I take any publicity is good publicity for me. I'm an open book. So all you're going to see is a bunch of baby mama drama and accusations, but you ain't never going to see anything where he pled guilty. He was found guilty. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see a bunch of accusations, but you ain't going to see nothing. I think the most major thing I got is maybe I was found guilty of some traffic violation.
Right.
Fact. You know what I'm saying? I've seen, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean I ain't done dirt, you know what I mean? But as far, I'm no Darrell Brooks. Let's just put it that way. You know what I'm saying? And there's a difference between being youthfully mischievous, you know what I'm saying? Because he started and I'll probably end up doing a video on this too. I'm gonna end up probably dissecting his whole background with FOIA requests and everything. So just so you know, in 2099 or in 1999, excuse me, this idiot first got on record and as far as public records as being in trouble with the law for assault, and it was involved with cutting somebody with another person. So basically him and another dude tried to do some gang shit, you know, like some Sugar Hill shit, and pull the blade out. You know what I mean? And I guess cut somebody's cheek or something like that. But he ended up getting caught up with that stuff. And that's what started his shit. And I've been digging through all the news articles and everything. And did you know if you go through AI, specifically through Bing, and you start asking it questions and start feeding it Darrell Brooks content, it will literally start putting together the storyline for you. And when you start asking it like questions like, where's his father? Or, you know, and I'm just using that as an example. I didn't do that part, but you start asking it like questions that are not, you know, that were not in the courthouse. The AI starts branching out and saying, hey, you may want to look at this article, or you may want to do comparing all this stuff, and it will bring down and start bringing down the storyline and timeline for you, telling you the facts of what happened. So this is AI is like a content creator's dream. I swear to God.
Yeah.
God bless AI.
How to do it for dummies.
Exactly. That's how it should be. I mean, because between father's rights and getting custody or the modification, winning the modification with the kids, and then my content now, I mean, as you can probably see, my content editing skills have like, and I don't want to, and there's always bigger fish, but they have drastically improved since I first started, even last year, because I'm like in season 2 or going into almost the 3rd year of, you know, content creating, but the 2nd year of the Norman Nick show. So where I've taken it serious. And my editing, you know, shout out to who do I use? Filmora, you know what I'm saying, as my editing software. And no, they're not endorsing anything, but between them and I use Pictory for the voice editing, you know what I'm saying, to get that foreign voice in there for like sounds like a English person is speaking or whatever in my videos. That's all AI. And man, it's so worth it. $20 a month per subscription to, you know, basically both of them. And you know what I'm saying, and some time and knowledge, and you know what I'm saying, you could put together, you could become a storyteller or a content creator. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as long as if you got the heart for it, if you can get past the criticism.
I'll tell you, doing background with the content that we do on our show, anime, comic book stuff, doing background checks on characters is never been easy. You know, I can ask ChatGPT questions and go to sleep, but when I wake up, it's gonna have a whole background on Deadpool for me. It's gonna have everything that I need. Read this article, read that article, you know, watch this show. So whatever your niche is or whatever it is that you're trying to do, as long as you know how to utilize your tools and resources, which that's all it is. It's a resource, it's a tool. If you can utilize that, it can literally put it together for you. All you have to do is do the groundwork. So, you know, and not to bring it back to Erika, but, you know, the content creation, if you really wanted to do it and you have a phone, you can do it.
And the facts, because all I use is what I'm recording on right now, even with another AI, I guess if you want to call it AI, is I use StreamYard to do the podcasting, you know what I'm saying, in between, or even recording if I want to be, let's say I want to be slick about it and premiere a video, and I want to show a video that I made, but I also want to interact like I just did right now. This is perfect for it. I mean, I wish she would have, I wish she would have stuck to her guns and took serious what she wanted to do. You know what I mean? And was able to do it. You know, not necessarily through me, but just do it. Period. I would have loved to see her succeed. But what I think what breaks my heart in all this is not just that she didn't do it. It's that she didn't do it. Darrell is going to be laughing at her through Don Brooks because Don Brooks is watching all of her fuck ups. You know what I'm saying? And all this backtracking. And the other thing is too is all the shit talking of why she couldn't do it herself and using me as the catalyst. You know what I'm saying? These content creators are just trying to make it's like everything that I could do, you could do, just do it better. There's other content creators that have used my video and have made more money on my content that I produce with the podcast on her than I ever had. All I'm doing right now is just revamping my old shit, you know, truthfully, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm doing. I'm not, and the only reason I'm doing it is too is because when what sparked me to do this was, I think because of the anniversary from Christmas that came up on the algorithm. Like everybody was searching Darrell Brooks for the Wickeshaw Christmas Parade, and then everybody was getting, you know, making content, and then I think my content was getting, stitched in, and I had people reaching out to me like, "Yo, Norman, you need to check this out. Check this girl out. She's using your clip, blah blah blah." Which I love. I love when people show my stuff, show my, it's free marketing. Use my video, talk shit about me. Please talk shit about me. That's free marketing. I'm like Donald Trump at this point. Love to hate me. You know what I mean? Either way, you're gonna watch me. You know what I'm saying? Either way, you're gonna get emotional. You know what I'm saying? One way or another. So, but I don't know how much time you have, Santo, if you want to stay on or not. I was going to stay on and keep doing the live and keep talking about what's going on and interact with the audience. Did you want to stay on? I know you got, other stuff to do.
I'm gonna head out. I got some research I gotta do. We're gonna jump on that what if. We actually got John Proudstar from Reservation Dogs coming on tomorrow night. So we're gonna talk about Reservation Dogs, and we're also gonna talk about season 2, episode 6 of What If with the
Knorr?
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna
hold on. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So the audience, so you know, tune into this show for the Rebellion 5. You got to watch this because if you are a true Marvel head, and you know What If, the episode that he's talking about is the newest Marvel character that they brought in that is the Native American from Canada, and Marvel basically took their heritage, their lore, their history, their exact language, and incorporated it into the episode to where there was even to watch it, you had to watch it with closed caption. It was dope. It was that good. And the guy that they're bringing on is an expert, I would say, in that language or in that culture because he's part of that tribe. So they're actually bringing him on as a monitor to say, did Marvel get this correct?
Exactly. Yeah, John Proudstar. He's written Tribal Force, which is also a comic book. I believe that you can get it through MachineX.com. It's based on Native American superheroes. So he's really rooted in that culture. John Proudstar. So we're gonna have him on to talk about the Marvel series and see what his input is.
That's what's up. All right, my guy. Well, I'll tap in with you after I get done with this. Aaliyah has a half day, so I'm gonna have to tap out here a little while here to go pick her up because she gets off early. But either way, I'll call you a little bit later and let you know what's up.
All right, brother. Tap in.
All right, man. All right. With that being said, let's get back to the audience because I'm kind of amped and I do want to keep going with this. As far as where we at? Misty, yes, I do have an email. As far as the email, you could either reach me at fathersrevenge2@gmail.com. That's on the Father's Rights Advocacy side. As far as like the content that I do for crimes and interrogations with like Darrell Brooks or whatever, you can reach me at normannix@gmail.com or norman@thenormannickshow.com. Either way. Let's see. Norman, how do I start a page on domestic violence? The way I started, truthfully, and how I got into this is I started doing father's rights advocacy on Facebook. And I just started reaching out to people, and people just like to hear they wanted my advice. So I started doing little videos because I got tired of repeating myself as far as, how to act in court or how to file paperwork or where to go look online for information on how to DIY do it yourself. So I started doing these little videos and putting them up on YouTube or on Facebook first. And then people started reaching out to me saying, "Hey, can you come on my podcast and explain?" So it's basically like Johnny Appleseed. You got to lay down the groundwork where you got to walk around and you got to start talking. You got to start networking with people. And then start vibing with you and they're just like, "Yo, can you come on?" Next month, I got it planned out because I work with attorneys for fathers' rights advocacy here in Phoenix, Arizona. And one attorney specifically I work for is on the top 20 list of attorneys here in the Valley in Arizona, and I actually did a commercial for him, and we're doing a podcast session where we're going to talk about DIY and when to get an attorney and when an attorney should be needed or whatever as far as parental rights. And I got that set up for next month in February. So, and I'll put out more information about that if you guys want to tune in. But as far as the domestic violence, just start posting. Just all you got to do is just start posting and just making people aware, start engaging with people. There are going to be trolls that are going to try to deter you from doing it because they either see you as competition or they just don't like you because you remind them of somebody. Take it with a grain of salt. You can get involved. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. Do you have an email? Like I said, yes. Wild Boy Media said, "Have you ever used OBS, Norman?" No, I have not used OBS. Misty, she could have took advantage of the situation and turned out big if she had it together. I agree. I mean, even if she didn't go with me and she just went to Texas, which was what the plan was to begin with. When I talked to Rose, was she needed to be out of public limelight, and what the plan was is she was going to go to what I was going to lay out for her if she wanted to accept, the water or whatever, was the path that I had laid out for her was she gets a grant. They pay for a plane ticket. They would have paid for everything for her to go to Texas, room and board for a year at the facility. And she would have just did her daily program. She would have went to physical therapy. She would have went to mental therapy. She would have went to rec therapy, everything that was incorporated that Rose talked about in our podcast, I think it was a year or so ago. And if she would have went that route and just took that advantage, she didn't even have to let everybody know. She could have stepped out right now and said, "Hey, this is Erika Patterson. Let's do this." And she would, how many followers she would have? Everybody loves a comeback story. Everybody loves a comeback story. I mean, I wish it's just sad. It's just sad. So Missy said that was her God moment to make it, but she chose to be what Darrell said she was. I that's I guess there's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's more than one way to present uh, a thought, and that's one way to present it. But I wouldn't necessarily say that was her God moment. I think everybody gets a couple of those Eminem moments, where you're going to do with the spaghetti on your shirt, or if you're going to rap. Um, she still has a chance. I think she can still come back. I would like to see her come back. I'd love to see her come back, talk shit about, look, Norman didn't even Norman was talking shit about me, and then she just blows up. You know what I'm saying? That would make my day. Terry B says Erika could have been been a great podcast, but only if she is sober. And I told her that on the podcast. I told her, hey, you guys can go back, for receipts and look at my old material. I told her flat out, you can't podcast, you can't do this, inebriated, especially when you're first starting out. Don't get me wrong. I have my coffee and I have my vape pen, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not like my cousin blowing blunts, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, or whatever. If in a certain niche with a certain audience, if I was going on Snoop Dogg's show, that's expected. But if you're on a crime show, and unless you signed up for that, to begin with, and you're just getting drunk while the person's doing their live every show, and that's like the theme of their shit is alcohol and Daryl, then which I probably just gave somebody a show idea. You're welcome. But alcohol and Daryl, and then that was her shit, and she just drank vodka and talked shit about the. You know how many people would tune in to watch that? You know how many sponsors she would get through alcohol and whatever? It would be adult only content, but holy shit, she would make millions. Thanks, JM. I appreciate it. Now, I've said this in the past, but I'm actually in a position now to where I can go live on a daily basis. Uh, Now that I got all my court stuff set up, baby mama drama behind me. And with that being said, as far as father's rights, tomorrow and Friday, me and my son, little Norm, will actually be in Maryland for father's rights advocacy. We're actually going to the Capitol, and we're going to go. We have security, buses, the whole nine, with a whole bunch of group of people. We're heading up there. We don't know if we're going to be on the news, but I do know local law enforcement did give us the emails to tell us that the trip is, going to be secure and everything. We don't have to worry about anything, police beating us up or, misunderstandings about, any far right, far left or whatever. But we're basically, in a nutshell, going down there to fight for father's rights, mother's rights, parental rights, as far as trying to not necessarily abolish child support, but we're trying to put rules and regulations on it, similar to how Texas is doing it, to where the debit card that is given can only be used for certain purchases. The purchases should be kept track of, at least in my opinion. That's one of the things that are going to be discussed. I believe that if you're going to be in a situation, and let's use Erika as a situation, if Erika got custody of her kids, and whether she not she got child support, for her kids or whatever, or she deserved it or whatever. If she was in a situation where she had custody of her kids and got child support, and what we're trying to do is set it up to where, just like unemployment, where you have to go in and show every week or whatever the results of your trying to get a job, how many places you went and applied for, proof that you applied for them with the name, number, all that, in order to get the benefits for the next week. It should be something similar to that with child support, where you show your progress as far as fathers or mothers or whatever, and how they contribute, and what you're able to do as far as where that money is allocated to for the benefit of the kid. Now, I'm not saying that you have to show all your finances and say, this is how much I pay for rent, this is how much I pay for this, but you can say, look, in a modification, or let's say a year review is done, and the judge is like, okay, we need to readjust the child support. Where's the child support been going? There should be a summary where he can log into and say, okay, child support was on time from the payee. Now the payer. Now the payee received the funds, and the funds went to, oh, I see here that they logged in, and they shows here that they took a trip to, or they bought sneakers for, or they, used it for the field trip of, blah, blah, blah. And that puts everything on the line. So when they go back to court, there's no, well, she's using it at the club and da 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 da, because technically child support is supposed to supplement for the funds that you spent prior. So you're kind of like paying in credit. So when I get child support for my baby mama, I use that to supplement for the money that I've already spent on the kids that she wasn't around to help with. So it's similar to how it works. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to stop misuse of child support, basically what it comes down to, because not everybody, male or female, deserves child support. You got these celebrities that buku money. Why do they need hundreds of thousands of dollars in child support? I can think of a million other things that they're going to pay. If they got that much money and they got to pay out, I can think of 100 million other things that money can go to other than paying attorneys and court fees. All it does is strengthen the government. So let's get into here. With that being said, let's see. That was your God moment. I think we already discussed that. Let's see. My prayers will be with you guys. Stay strong. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you. Yeah, we're literally looking forward to this trip tomorrow. This is going to be the first time that little Norm is actually been on a plane and out of state, so he's amped about it. And unfortunately, and I well, I'm doing this live, but unfortunately, um, the last time he was out of state, I think he went to California with his mom, and it was like some touch and go type stuff where she said we're going to go to the beach, and they went to the beach. I think they were there for 5 seconds. They got enough to collect seashells, touch the water, smell the air, and they ran right back home. So the aspirations and the promise of going to the beach was given, but the fulfillment of the experience was not, all that for going out of state. So little Norm is really looking forward to this, and I'm looking so forward to my little guy having this experience. He's like my little mini me. So when we're up there speaking about fathers' rights, the reason why he was also invited, and I was invited to go. I'm not paying to go up there. I was actually invited. And shout out to Winning Strategies, Eric Smith, for setting this up. He set up the flight and the hotel for me and Little Norm. And the reason why Little Norm is going is because Little Norm actually helped me with editing and voiceover in a commercial for one of his commercials that Eric needed for Winning Strategies and for his platform and what he does for fathers' rights advocacy on Facebook. So let's see. When I was let's see, LaFord Girl said when I was did receive child support. Oh, when I did receive child support, I used it and saw as I saw fit. I wish he could have asked for an itemized list. I get what you are saying, so I don't need smoke. Agreed. Yeah, I agree with you. And the only reason I'm saying that is because communication is the key to civilization. And I think a lot of the breakdown of toxicity, especially and let's look at Darrell Brooks. A lot of what happened in his growing up was a lack of communication. Um, Regardless of the authority that needed to be behind the communication, there was a lack of a male figure telling another male, young male, what is acceptable and not acceptable. It's one thing to be in the game. Let's use basketball as an analogy. It's one thing to be in the game, like when Darrell was in court and you have an authority figure like a judge telling you you can't do that, you can't do that. It's a given. You're supposed to respect that. But if you haven't been given the fundamentals from home school, from home training, to know when to shut the fuck up when an authority figure, such as when you get pulled over by the police, and when not to. I think 9 times out of the 10, the breakdown of society is because the lack of positive male role models. Now, can your role model be a fucking Darrell Brooks? Absolutely. And can you get to a point to like where you have Xavier Brooks looking at his dad and saying, look, I see you for you. I love you, but I see lessons more than I see advice. You know what I mean? And lessons are what you learn from your losses. So Xavier, which I hope he's doing right now, is stepping back from what happened from the Wickeshaw parade and is saying, look, I see my father for my father. And this is me talking from my own experience. I see my father for who he is. He didn't raise me. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? I had to figure it out for myself. And I had to substitute a lot of men for him, whether it was because he left on his own or because of the lack of communication between him and my mother able to get along and that letting us both be able to share responsibility. But there were lessons, regardless of their relationship, there were lessons that I could have taught my son, or my dad could have taught me, or whatever, or Darrell could have taught whatever, that could have been taught, that were missed out on, despite what you felt about him. He could have said, look, when the police pull you over, I fucked up by running. And here's my police report. They talk about it on my, you know what I mean? Don't run. You may have to do time. Believe me, 6 months of probation is worth way more than a warrant for your arrest and you being on the run for 6 years looking over your shoulders. If I had somebody tell me real game like that when I was younger, I would not have no baby mama drama. Norman, pick your battles. This girl is just as young as you are. It's the blind leading the blind. You're both teenagers having kids having kids. You guys don't know yourselves, let alone each other, and you guys are playing house despite whatever you guys think and whatever the law says. point blank. If I had somebody to say, hey, this is what let me distract you. Put your dick away. Let me distract you. Be a rapper. This is what you need, or be a gamer. This is what you need to do. Let's start this podcast. You know, if I had somebody to distract, even with church, or just say, yo, come be in the ministry. You know what I mean? Something other than nothing. Point blank. Dawn took it upon herself, just like a lot of women out there, to just be a single mother. That's all she wanted to be. She wanted to be a single mother, wanted to get benefits, whether it was child support or government assistance, whatever. But the will to try was not even instilled in her. So this is like a generational, plague that's happening. You know what I mean? And this is not just her family. This is my family. This is everybody's family. But the difference is between us and the Brooks family, or the Woods family, and if you really want to get down to it, is enabling. When and if my son did fuck and fucks up, I don't make excuses. Any of them. Either if they're grown, they have to be loved from a distance for a while, or love for a distance for life, depending on the atrocity or the mistake, or what it is. Because there are some mistakes, yeah, you may live from it, you may learn from it, but it doesn't mean that other people have to be endoused with it, or have to live. You have to live with it with you also. They can be related to you and not be involved in your drama. Just like with Darrell Sr.'s family, I reached out to all of them in Detroit, and shout out, as a content creator, it breaks my heart that they didn't want to jump in, you know what I'm saying, and give their side of the story and say what's up. But as a civilian, if I was in the situation, I wouldn't be online. I don't, when I go online, and this is me as a paralegal, when I go online, I never go online to bash and talk shit about my relatives, about my friends, about anything in my inner circle. I don't talk about my relationships. I talk about my ex, but I blur her face, I blur her name, and I talk around her. I do not give her any oxygen that she can go back to court with. So the only thing that I'm doing basically is taking her garbage and toxicity that she gives to me. And again, this reflects on my content creation, on how I handle crime and interrogations. But I take the mud that she slings at me, the toxic bullshit she slings at me, and I just pick it up and I string it through AI, and I string it through my resources that I know as a paralegal and as a content creator now. And I pull out all the gold nuggets and I place it to the category it needs to be placed in. And then what I do is I monetize that category and place it on YouTube. Just that simple. I just make it look really cool. That's it. I just put B-roll on it and use GIFs and shit like that. Pixels, whatever. So, but as far as content creation, Erika, you could still do it. You could still do it. Let's look. I'm in a ramble. Let me go into these comments here. You're so humble and have a good heart. I'm glad to see the positivity you bring. Thank you. Yeah, because from the comments you wouldn't be able to tell. Because, like I think Media, and shout out to Think Media, because I got a lot of knowledge from them, especially on season 2 of the Norman Nick Show. Think Media, I think, said it right best. Kennel said it best. He said, as far as the negativity on your platform, 99% of it is going to be followers, good people, people that want to watch your stuff, people that are really cool. It's going to be the 1% that are going to shine out because they stand, just like a thumbnail, they stand out above the rest. So it makes you pay attention to them, because you're getting all these, oh, your content's cool, thanks, oh, I've been a follower, and you get all this positive stuff, and then all of a sudden you get this, how the fuck this person got a bad vibe about what I did? I'm not even part of the story. I just reported what was on the news. All I did was investigate what nobody else investigated, and I put it on YouTube and showed everybody the truth. And now you want to dethrone or deplatform or demonetize or whatever you call it. So anyways, yeah, as far as that, I try to be positive with it. If you're on my team, especially like Red Bull Coffee Arctic Fox, you know what I'm saying? All the people that you see me online with. If you're on my online team, there's nothing I won't do for you. If you need editing on your videos, whatever, I help you out. Winning Strategies, I think, is the only partner I have that is in a position, because they're a nonprofit, and for tax purposes, they can actually pay me for my services as far as video editing. So I think that's what kind of solidifies my relationship with Winning Strategies as far as father's rights. There's nothing I won't do for Eric, and that was even before the money, because Eric was the first content creator, even before Crimes Interrogation, with Winning Strategy. He was the first one to reach out to me and be like, yo, we need to work together. And he had just started his podcast in Maryland on his radio station. And we kind of just learned it together, fumbled it through. But 2 years later, 3 years later, here we are. You know what I'm saying? I'm flying out to Maryland. And this is like the second, third time to, meet up with him. So. See, LaFour Girl says, you're so right about Don. My kid and my dad and his uncle, he is now in the Army, gainfully employed, but getting his master's. I didn't date and bring any dudes around me. I'm the same way. I refuse. I tried to date after BM3. I tried to date, but the kids I have custody of right now, they are from my second baby mama, and my second baby mama was so toxic that she kind of ran off baby mama number 3. And me and baby mama number 3 are basically have no communication because of the misunderstanding and all the bullshit that BM2 brought to the situation. So when I come into advocacy, I understand all levels. I pay child support and I receive child support. I just happen to receive more than I pay because I don't pay child support anymore. I'm done. My kids that are with baby mama number 1 are all grown. But as far as baby mama number 3, that's something that I'm trying to work out. But by putting baby mama number 2 at arm's length and being able to categorize my life, and be mature about my situation and be able to look at myself, I'm able to look at the situation and say, look, put this on the back burner, deal with this first. You may lose money here, but in the long run, you're going to claim taxes here and you're going to get buku more money than you would for the time off here. So in your mind, you're able not to stress because your emotional and your intellectual maturity are at the same level. So and I always say the Me Too crowd because they're the most emotional crowd that I deal with as far as advocacy. But the most hate I get is from women and gay men that think that I'm too alpha male in how I present myself and how I present my content, and I don't have enough nurturing. So with that being said, I have full custody of my kids because I am the disciplinarian, and my parents were military. I grew up on a military base. So I don't know if that gave me an edge as far as most fathers was my upbringing, but just because you started off the race and everybody with Reeboks on and everybody else has Nikes on doesn't mean you're not eligible to run or win. It doesn't make you less of a father because all the other dads are in communication with their baby mamas and you're not. Do you, Pikachu? That's all I got to say. Do you and make it better than the last time. So yeah, I do not date either. Matter of fact, I'm like Neo in the Matrix. I be doing that whole, you know what I mean? I dodge it more than anything. Is especially being online, I get dipshits all the time. I'm nuts. My guy here. Hey, glad to make a live. I think your research is excellent. This stuff needs to be reported. I appreciate that with the vigorousness. So glad you own your part in each relationship. I do the same. I pick them. That's right. I take responsibility. Believe me, and all 3 of them, I could have been a better boyfriend. But as far as a father, I didn't have a father for the most part. I had a stepdad who was an asshole. So I learned the lessons. and took the blessings that came from, from my upbringing. But what I've learned to do is look at life. You ever get to a point to where you're having a bad day and the only thing that cheers you up is to take a drive and go downtown and see homeless people? Is anybody else like that? Because it allows me to put my life in perspective and say, you know what? I may have this bill coming up. I may be stressed about this. But I'm not that. Matter of fact, let me pull out some money out of this visor. Yo, my man, just because I saw you when I seen you. God bless you. Maintain all your goals. Don't worry about it. Have a great day. You know what I'm saying? Give him $5. I mean, are you that type of person? I think that is the difference. I think that's what makes an American. You know what I'm saying? Are you able to look and not necessarily police the person that you don't agree with, but can you look at the person that you don't agree with and say, look, just because it's you, here you go. I'm gonna help you out. I may not agree with you. You may be an avid Biden supporter or an avid Trump supporter, or you may be a victim in your own mind or whatever, but you just crossed my path right now. And I feel your story. So instead of ignoring you, I'm going to fill you out, judge you as an individual, and see where your head's at. And then I'm going to decide if I want to donate to you or give to you or do whatever I need to do for you. So with that being said, man, let's see. Yolanda said, I think Erika is damaged. Can you imagine dating Darrell Brooks at 15? Now, let's get this back. She did not date Darrell Brooks. That's where the misconception happens. She catfished Darrell Brooks. And Darrell Brooks jumped on the hook willingly because he thought he was going to be able to pimp somebody and she thought she was going to be able to trick somebody. Now, regardless of the age difference, the emotional intelligence, lack thereof, the IQ was there. The intelligence to make money was there at 15 years old, 14 years old, enough to make a MySpace page and other online paid dating websites. Because she even says it. If you listen to the podcast when I did the interview with her, she said, I met Darrell on a dating website. The dating website was MySpace. It's not a dating website. Well, it was an unofficial dating website. I think that's probably why it got taken down, because of the issues they were having. But long story short, she wasn't dating Darrell at 15. They were soliciting each other and they were using each other. She did stand on chance to develop, and I do think it's time to move on from DB. It may take years for Erika to realize she has issues. Yolanda Washington, I agree with you 125 fucking percent. You need to leave Wisconsin, girl. Get the fuck out of there. Leave Corey. Leave that ragtag little fucking whatever piece of shit little boyfriend you got right now, because I guarantee he ain't helping you out. Because if he was, if he cared about you, he would look beyond. It's like love is like this, and no cap. You know what I'm saying? Love is like this. I think Corey said it. What is love? And her little fucked up little thing. What is love is when you can open the cage and that bird knows where home is, or that girl or that man knows where home is. And you can open that cage and love it so much to watch it fly in freedom and interact with everybody and get fed by the public, and then watch it fly back home to enjoy the rest of the night with you. That's what love is. If you can't open the door and just let your bird or your loved one fly, or your sister, brother, your mother, or whatever fly and do what they want to do and come back home, then you're not loving them, you're managing them. There's a big difference between loving somebody and managing somebody, especially when it comes to monetization. Come on, guys. Let's see. Misty Fritz says, yes, my job is taking care of the homeless. I absolutely love my job. I'm very grateful for being able to help and give. Amen. Let's see. Nuts, shout out. I gave a shout out to LA, or to Love for a Girl. Said good points. I pick them. I wish I hadn't. I can agree with that, man. That I look back and I say, and I think everybody has done this, whether they're anybody has done this in any point of a bad relationship. They've looked back and said, what if? what if I could go back in time and get the kids without the drama? But if I change something, it wouldn't be the same because I wouldn't be able to do this podcast because everything would be perfect and I wouldn't have any material to talk to you guys about. It's kind of a catch-22 type thing. So you either take the blessings with the lessons and you learn to deal with them parallel, or you could become far right or far left and you think that everything should be good and horseshoes and everybody should give you a chance and freedom and everybody should give and you should not have to do anything. Or you become the polar opposite and you think everybody owes you, or no, you come the polar opposite and you learn to hate everybody because you think everybody's trying to take from you. So you have to find that middle ground, that compromise to say, look, I'm not full Jedi. I'm not giving everything to somebody and hoping, and have a new hope. But I'm not a Sith because I'm not here to burn the world. I'm not Darrell Brooks. So let me find that medium in between. You know what I mean? That where I can be the alpha and the nurturer. You know what I mean? Where I can be the good guy and not the nice guy. I think that's where the debate comes in, is nobody knows the difference between the nice guy and the good guy. So let's see, Misty says the media makes it look like it was all him in the beginning of the relationship. Wow. And that's exactly what sold papers, because pedophilia is like a hot topic, especially for the far right and the far left. And you forget who was president at that time. And the other thing, side note on that too, is what had me confused is that Darrell Brooks is online talking shit about Obama. And then he's on shit talking online about Trump. Like, you could not satisfy this man for shit. Baby mama 1, 2, and 3 couldn't satisfy him. Mommy couldn't satisfy him. No president could satisfy him. The courts couldn't satisfy him. Daddy couldn't satisfy him. Darrell was just having a hard fucking time with just breathing. He couldn't even breathe without being mad. That's how sad Darrell Brooks is. He couldn't even breathe. So we got Yolanda, thanks for the response. No worries. So let's see, we got here. Erika is dating? She has horrible taste in men. Girl, do you for years before you put yourself out there. Amen. It's not like falling off a horse, you know what I mean? Literally. It's crazy to me how women who are, I wouldn't say victims, I would say addicted to domestic violence, or addicted to that life, you know what I mean, where they don't want to get out of it. They're like fascinated with the attention, I guess, of being a victim. So they always put themselves, or always have an excuse of why they got to stay, or, it's for the kids, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it just amazes me how they want their cake and eat it too. But you're absolutely right. It's not like falling off a horse. You don't get your ass beat and then go back and say, oh, let's make it better. You know what I mean? Because you're just going to get your ass whooped again. When you deal with a toxic relationship, you got to realize that, okay, it's just like swimming in a fucking pool that hasn't been cleaned. You got all this nasty shit in there, and you're just getting out, and you got all this garbage and all this algae and all this scum on you. You can't just go and start hugging the people at the pool. You got to get out. You got to go wash yourself off. You got to go dry yourself off. Maybe put on a new set of clothes. Maybe wash your ass. You know what I mean? You got to take time away from the pool before you start running back to the pool and start hugging everybody around. That's what it is. So, again, I'm surprised with the prostitution. I'm surprised with the prostitution managed to make her a credible witness. And by the way, Wisconsin is a great state. Go Pack, go Pack, go. Yeah, Darrell Brooks seems to think so too. He loves Wisconsin. He loves the Packers too. He says it all the time in his little videos or whatever. But I'd have to agree. I think she had to be brought in because Darrell made her a pivotal issue. And plus the state, regardless if she was a prostitution or not, she was still a victim 3 weeks prior to the Waukesha incident, the parade incident, because she was ran over at the gas station. So there was this, this discord, you know what I mean, about she got ran over, mom bailed him out within 3 weeks, And then he tries to go back to Erika to find her, after she's can't live in the tent or the car in the backyard because obviously Don didn't want her at the house because her drinking and Darrell and her fighting and everything that was going on. So she had no choice but to go to a shelter. I give her that. If we knew nothing else, and that's all we knew, I would give her that. But the fact that the background of not even the kid and the baby mom, but just the look at the prostitution angle alone, that would give me pause to say, as far as justification on Darrell Brooks. Actually, it wouldn't. Actually, I think the state had it right. I think using Erika was probably the best thing he did because at the end of the day, the state does not care about Erika. The state only cares about the W, about the win. So I think that the smartest thing for them to do was to show, if they had to, that to happen. The state making her look like a bad mom, even if it was screened through Darrell, because it would show why Darrell, as the perception of behind every good man is a good woman. It only strengthens the state's case if he's following this woman and this woman is orbiting around him from state to state. It doesn't hurt the state to bring her into the mix and say, look, if she is a bad parent, it does have a lot to do with who she's gravitating around. But at the same time, there's other things to gravitate around, and this is not a fixed orbit she has to be in. There is no chain that was holding her. There was definitely no fucking financial bond that was holding her there other than no money. I mean, she could have went back to Georgia anytime, but she said in the podcast, he wouldn't let me go back to Georgia. Well, what about after he ran you over and you went to the shelter? What about all the time before that you were at Don's house and you guys were in that tent? You had your ID. You could have went back and seen your kids. I think the real question is, when was the exact date that they got there from Georgia, the exact date that they touched ground in Wisconsin from Georgia all the way up until the parade? Because we do know that when they did touch down, unknown date, we do know that in that timeline, they stayed with Don. She met Don. She stayed with Don for whatever reason. Darrell could not stay in the house because of the shooting with his cousin, so he had to stay out in the tent or the truck or that shed in the backyard. And there was an extension cord with heater and big screen TV that was put out there. And so she chose to leave her kids for a better life in Wisconsin with Darrell, her abuser, left her kids with her cousin to vacation and never returned. And to this day, still hasn't returned. I wouldn't say that's her having any kind of Stockholm syndrome or anything like that. I think we're beyond that. I don't even think we're at that, to tell you the truth. I don't even think we're beyond it. I don't even think we've reached that, because I think this is, again, an addiction to the life. This man wanted to be a rapper. And most poor people, at least in my investigation and what I deal with father's rights advocacy, most poor people look for being a rapper to be famous to get out of the hood. They look for that shortcut because church isn't working for them. It's too much of a long game. You know what I mean? Especially for the short life that they have in the hood. You know what I mean? So there's certain factors that are involved that give them that mind frame to act the way they act, because they think that I got to live fast because life is fast for me. I don't have time to breathe. I got to pay bills. I got to do this. I got baby mama drama. I got, all this shit that the political realm throws on civilian life to squeeze a buck out of everybody affects everybody in different ways. And it definitely affected Darrell Brooks and Don and the clan or whatever. But at what point, because I go through I'm in hard times all the time, but I don't go on a rampage. So I think it comes down to a number of questions. I mean, if you really want to get to the root of it, one, if you really want to get to the base root, what kind of fucking lead paint, if there was, that was in the house that he grew up in, because that would explain a lot of fucking deviant, stupid shit. Where was Darrell Brooks Sr. all this time, as far as Don and that? I understand him whipping ass or whatever, but nobody, just like Erika, And I'm not saying people that have been in domestic violence deserve to get their ass beat, but it doesn't happen to where just one day he just punches you in the mouth for breathing just because you didn't put dinner on the table and put the silverware down correctly. You know what I mean? It's a gradual fight that happens of toxicity where you guys test boundaries. And because when you first get with somebody, you don't punch them in the face and then they're like, "Oh, we've been together for a week." No, it's something that you dominate and learn, and you test. You know what I mean? It starts with an argument. It starts with your mama. It starts calling somebody a bitch or a nigga. You know what I mean? And it escalates, and it pushes you to a limit to where, okay, where are you? Where's your line? And if you're constantly not able to see the line in the sand or draw a line in the sand because you're constantly taking 2 steps back because you're in this toxic shuffle, time to step back, time to stop dancing. It's literally what it is. You got to stop dancing, and you definitely got to get away from the pool and stop and not dance with another partner, especially right after you fall off the horse. Jesus Christ. Let's see, Carla. I'm loving this. Carla, some victims are beyond help. Sadly, I agree 100%. She said, I think she's in medical trouble as well. She was swelling in her face that looks like liver kidney failure. Just my opinion. You know what? I heard that. Yeah, that's crazy that you said that, because in the one of the videos, somebody in the audience, I believe they were a nurse, and I'm going off memory, but somebody else made that civilian diagnosis too, saying that their father had liver issues and that swelling looked like, toxicity or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if she starts looking like jaundiced yellow, you know what I mean, in some of her videos. But my dad's a minister, and my dad will tell you, just like a person that's herding sheep, you can't save everybody. Just because you leave your house with a certain number of troops or a certain number of followers doesn't mean you're going to come home with those certain number of troops or followers. It's just life. That's life, the war, the long game, losses and lessons. What up, Milka? I believe Milka. I believe I said it right. I apologize if I didn't, but hello. Speak, Norman, speak. That's what's up. As far as Milka, she said, how could he could have just gotten a job and lived the right way no matter what it was. Define the right way, because as a content creator, I've done some, let's say, I've done some different styles and techniques to try to get my channel off the ground when I first started, because and let's just admit it, parental rights advocacy is not a very popular niche or topic. So I've had to get creative and kind of blend crime with parental rights and showing the negative side of parental rights. So a lot of my videos, if you go through, which people don't pick up on because of who I am, a lot of my videos on the crime side of the Norman Nick show are parental rights issues. If you get down to the nitty gritty, it's usually mothers that have harmed their kids, or kids that were adopted, or something to do with pedophiles or whatever, because that is what I resonate with. Because in truth, when I was 5 years old, I was touched by my uncle one time, and my mom and my stepdad, being military, I guess needed to have their summers off from the kids, so they would send from Spokane, Washington, when we lived on Fairchild Air Force Base. They got in the habit of sending me and my younger sister down to Bakersfield, California, to my grandmother at the time, and on my mom's side, and my grandmother would watch us for like a month or whatever. But what my mom did not know is that in the time that we were kids, I believe we were like 6, 7, 8 years old, and we were doing those trips. I didn't even know until I was 11, and it came back to me that my uncle had touched me when I was 5. Because when you're younger, your cognitive mental abilities are not where you're at 9, 10, 13, 12, 18, you know what I mean? So I kind of blocked out what happened. When I hit 11 years old, the trauma came back to me in like 3 distinct dreams. And it came because my stepdad went on a remote tour. I believe he either went on TDY or remote tour. He either went to, I think he was on remote tour to Alaska. I think he was on a remote tour to King Salmon, Alaska at the time. And my mom had rented out my sister's bedroom to help with the rent on base. So she was renting out to a single mom. And this woman came in there and I was snooping around in her room and there was a dildo in there. And I saw the dildo and boom, the flashbacks came back. And after that, I had dreams about what my uncle did to me because that was the trigger. The memory was seeing that in her, you know, in her closet or under her bed or wherever the fucking thing was. But seeing that triggered that memory. And I had never been exposed to, you know, anything like that up until then, you know, at that point or up until then. So at 11 years old, to see that and have this, oh my God, you know what I mean? This moment, it was like, boom. And then my mom is on the phone with my uncle, and I'm 11 years old, and I'm going through this for like a month, me trying to deal with remembering this event. And I'm trying to figure out if it's real or not, or if, you know what I mean? And it was just too vivid, and it was just, and I knew too much about the memory, and there was too much detail. And I didn't smoke weed when I was 5, and I am hyper intelligent. And I'm not saying that to be braggadocious, but there's a reason why I do what I do, and I'm a paralegal. It's because I have a semi-photographic memory, and my baby mamas hate it because I don't forget bullshit. So when these memories came back, they were so vivid and they had so much detail to it that when we went back to my grandmother's house, you know, to visit or whatever, the memories were, it was like it was never left. She was in the same trailer, everything the same, everything was exactly the same. So the point I'm getting at is that trauma affects people in different ways. And the reason why I do what I do is because of the events that I've been through in my life. So for me to go back and say, well, I can't, I would have changed, I'm a victim, I did this. You know how unproductive that would be compared to the milestones that I've accomplished since then, going to college, raising kids successfully, you know what I mean, winning in court, standing up for my parental rights, you know what I mean, standing up for, you know, everything that I've done. I mean, and not just right now since I've been single, because even as being single, I wouldn't be able to do any of this if I had a partner, because I would have all this, and you need to take me on date night, you need to think about me, I need you to do, I need, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, I'm at the point in my life where I've been there, done that, um, and I refuse to take. And I'm not trying to again sound braggadocious, but I refuse to take on pretty people problems. In high school, girls used to be, "Oh, you're light skinned, you got pretty hair," because I'm a half breed, I'm black and white. You play basketball, blah blah. You know, you pretty people problems always distract you. And it's not problems that everybody has, but it's problems that people have. So when you are cute, or let's say Erika Patterson, you want to use at 15 your looks to get ahead because you don't have it academically. So you go, even nowadays, go to IG or TikTok. It's no different. You're looking for somebody to validate you. And swinging back to Darrell Brooks, he wanted to be a rapper so that somebody would validate who he was. So somebody would say, good job. Good job, Darrell. You did something good in your life. You're absolutely right. What you're doing now and becoming famous and whatever makes up for all the shit that you've done, because every rapper before you did the same thing. They killed, they robbed, and whatever until they got famous, and then they gave back to the community. Way to go, Darrell. That was what his plan was, to live on credit, become a rapper, and then in his mind, he would have gave back. We know he wouldn't, but in his mind, that's what justified good and evil, or his intentions at that moment. You know what I mean? Because he felt he had no resources to get ahead. And that's kind of ties into the father's advocacy stuff that I do, but either way. Uh, let's see. And Erika could do the same thing, get a job. I agree. I mean, I do Uber to keep up with everything going on, and to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? So I do Uber Eats, ride shares, all that. Plus, I do video editing. You know what I'm saying? I do content creation, 2 channels, And if you want to come, I don't think child support should be counted as anything because it's not necessarily a hustle. That's something that is for the kids. So that kind of comes into the income part of it, I guess. But I know if I didn't do my part, she wouldn't be paying child support. It's just the nature of the beast. I mean, I think child support is a necessity and it should be paid, like in Darrell Brooks' case. Him avoiding that, there is no reason. Arizona, up until just recently, had work furlough. And for you guys that don't know, work furlough was set up in Arizona for those that did not pay their court fees or did not pay their child support or whatever have you. And so the court would impound you physically at night to stay in. Out here it was called Tent City, which is a field set up with old Vietnam tents that were rode down in chain link fences. And it had a main office and it had a little barber area, a little wash area. Matter of fact, the barber shop was the washroom. We just sat in there and just buzzed each other's hair when we got permission from the guards to get the clippers. But basically, it was like a little concentration camp, for lack of a better term. And you basically stayed there during the day. You talked all your gangster shit about this on the streets, and at night you were released, or during the day you were released to go to work. And as soon as your work was done, you had to get on this public bus or take a taxi or whatever and come right the fuck back to jail and spend the rest of your time there. There was no going home to your family. There was no going to your mommy's house and getting a sandwich to put in your back pocket and watch the game in the truck, all that shit. None of that. It was handle your responsibility. And then when you're in work furlough and you've been doing it for a couple of weeks to a month, then we'll take the training wheels off and we'll let you out while you have this job. But if you lose that job while you're on work furlough, you just stay in jail. She doesn't get child support, but you don't get to fucking make more kids in the streets. That's how child support should work. That is the premise. But when you have the courts are set up in such a polarized football political atmosphere to where you're worried about if your family court judge, and I'm this guy, I actually worry if my family court judge is a Democrat or a Republican. And I look them up, and this is one of the tips that I actually, and unfortunately, this is the times that we live in, I actually tell fathers, do some research on your judge. If he is a Democrat and he is online and you can research and you see that he advocates for this, that, and the other, now you have an in court. A subtle hint will sway opinion in your, because nobody's perfect. And they're supposed to be non-biased, but you can't help if people are testing the fruit or testing, a tray of food, and you guys decide that, you know what, this is more sweet than this is. His story is more sweet than her story is. I don't know what it is. They're the same fucking pastry. They have the same kids. They're the same. They grew up the same. They lived together all this time. They have, they basically make the same income. But for some reason, the way he's acting, the way he said, he's less confrontational. He's, and as a Democrat, it kind of quivers my liver. You know what I mean? So if they're far right, you can start talking about how I pick myself off my own bootstraps. I'm a self-made. I'm this, and they start respecting you from that, and less about the victimhood. So there's a game to be played in every arena. I think with Erika, she's really playing this fucking arena hard. That's what I gotta say. I think she's really playing this hard. Pretty hair is healthy hair. I wish black folks would know that it's off. That's what it is. Well, I have the half breed hair, so it falls down. So that John B, you know what I mean? So during high school, I had that John B fade and that look. Plus, I had all this. I didn't have this thickness, but I had more of this than the average student. So let's just put it this way. I was able to buy alcohol at 16 because of my facial hair. I was one of those guys, and plus I played ball, I was tall and all that. So, and I'm not saying I was a Darrell Brooks, but I'm saying there's a difference, like I said before, between being mischievous and being an outlaw. You know, everybody as a kid did stupid shit. You know what I mean? They tested the waters, or you know what I mean, were rebellious or whatever. But to go Darrell Brooks, 1999, cutting a motherfucker like you some gangster from Sugar Hill. Come on, Darrell. What's wrong with you, Darrell? With that being said, let's I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up actually because I got my I gotta go pick up Aaliyah from school. It's her half day. But I appreciate everybody. Shout out to everybody that contributed to the live. You know what I'm saying? That everybody that, you know, came on here and gave their 2 cents, and everybody watches afterwards. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really looking for anything major to happen. You know what I'm saying? But I was looking for some feedback. You know what I'm saying? I like the vibe. So I will be coming on here tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow I won't be coming on here tomorrow because tomorrow I'll be on a plane at this time on my way to Maryland with Lil Norm. But I will be tapping in when I come back on Saturday. I plan to do this on a daily. So this kind of was like the test of the waters, and Daddy likes the waters. So Daddy will be back. So with that being said, it's your boy Norm. If you want to get at me or you want to support the channel, you know, I'm gonna have to give out my plug. You can do it on Cash App at $, the Norm and Nick Show, or for those that want to give it, you know, to support the channel without having to worry about taxes and thus forth. You can always just reach out to me directly through email at the Norman Nick Show, at norman@thenormannickshow.com or normannix@gmail.com. You can also, that way you can hit me up on the Zelle. That way we don't have to worry about fees and all that or whatever if you really want to support. But other than that, I will have to tap in with y'all later. And I think I lost my feed here. Let me see. Where's my StreamYard? I gotta turn it off. History. I think I accidentally erased StreamYard. Yes, I did. Son of a bitch. Jump right back in. So with that being said, it's your boy Norm. I will definitely see you in another video. Thanks for hanging out.